nurses at a county hospital are now asked to get 10 times the training. And thanks to voters, one small school district could be facing nearly $1 million in cuts.
And in sports, prime-time action as the Bobcats are looking to punch their ticket to the MAC championship. Newswatch starts right now.
Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
New training will help nurses better care for victims of sexual assault. Good evening, I'm Michaela Marshall. Thanks for joining us. WOUB Hospital in Athens is offering new training for some employees. This happens to come after several sexual assault reports were filed on Ohio University's campus. WOUB's Chelsea Sick is live in the studio with exactly how this new training program will impact the victims.
All right, thanks, Michaela. Nurses in the emergency department of WOUB are undergoing 10 times the amount of training on sexual assault than they were before, and victim-centered justice is the goal of the new program. WOUB says at least 5 emergency department nurses at WOUB have been trained through the SANE program, or SANE. SANE stands for Sexual Assault Nurse Examiner. According to SANE's website, the program serves to prepare nurses for sexual assault issues, problems, and challenges they may confront. The training takes 40 hours and is provided both online and in person. SANE is known for directing location-based training. Teresa Moen is the emergency department staff educator and is coordinating the training at WOUB. Right now, all emergency department nurses are SAFE trained, meaning they are certified sexual assault forensic examiners. That training was 4 hours long. WOUB expects to continue training ER nurses through SANE in the coming months. Stay with Newswatch as we will have more on this story in the coming days. Reporting live in the studio for Newswatch, I'm Chelsea Sick.
Thank you, Chelsea. A Gloucester man was sentenced to 10 years in prison last week following his convictions of several assault and separate drug-related felony charges. Brendan J. Whiteford has been sentenced for multiple drug-related felonies involving heroin and meth. Whiteford allegedly assaulted 2 women at the Athens Pyramids Hookah Lounge last February, which led to convictions of aggravated assault and 2 misdemeanors for assault. He was also one of several indicted after 12 ounces of meth was found in a Millfield drug bust in August. A Guysville woman who had pled guilty to health care fraud in June is now trying to get permission to withdraw her plea. Cheryl McGrath also pled guilty to failing to pay employment taxes when she operated healthcare of Southeast Ohio. Part of the plea agreement required McGrath to serve 3 years in prison and pay millions in restitution to the Medicaid program, but she has not yet been sentenced. McGrath's attorney filed a motion asking to withdraw her guilty plea last week. McGrath believes the government's calculation of loss is grossly overstated. The U.S. Attorney's Office has not yet filed a response. An Athens County man has been charged with the illegal killing of an osprey. Rick Kesterson of Gloucester, Ohio, was sentenced to 2 years probation. Kesterson violated the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, which makes it illegal to kill migratory birds. He has to pay $500 to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources and forfeit his hunting license. Kesterson also has to complete over 50 hours of community service and is subject to house inspections and drug tests. Alexander Local Schools in Athens County now faces the prospect of major budget cuts after voters rejected a tax levy last week. Newswatch reporter Jacob Slowleather is live in the newsroom with more on how the district's plans. Jacob?
Michaela, this district will have to make some hard choices come January. In an earlier interview, Superintendent Lindy Douglas said anything from teachers and class sizes to bus drivers and academics are subject to budget cuts if the tax levy failed.
Everything's on the table. And when 75% of your budget is staffing, sooner or later you're going to have to cut more staff.
The school is projected to have an annual debt at $950,000. Now the district will consider their different levy options in January when 2 newly elected board members, John Collins and Jay Barnes, take their seats. There are basically 2 options. One is another earned income levy like the one that failed last week, and the other is a property tax levy. Now, Michaela, whatever the board decides to do, it will more than likely be an uphill battle. The Alexander School District has failed to pass a tax levy since 1991. Reporting live from the newsroom, I'm Jacob Solither.
Thank you, Jacob.
Good evening, I'm Taylor Nimmo. We had a fairly nice day today, a little break from those freezing temperatures. We're sitting at about 47 degrees right now. Winds are mild at 4 miles per hour, humidity 50%. All around the region, we're in the upper 40s. 47 in Athens, 48 in New Lexington, 47 in Newark, 46 in Cambridge. And so we'll be in the 40s for a little bit tonight before those temperatures start to drop into the 30s and even the upper 20s later on. But let's look at your football forecast. Those Bobcats are playing tonight at Akron, but it will be cool. At kickoff, it'll be 31 degrees, cool temps, so make sure you bundle up if you're headed out to the game. Winds will be calm. We won't be seeing any rain, but it will be cold. So good luck to the Bobcats, but we'll have your full forecast coming up shortly.
All right, thank you so much, Taylor. Environmental groups are taking another shot to try to stop construction of a natural gas pipeline. The Sierra Club partnered with other environmental groups to file a lawsuit yesterday seeking the immediate stop to construction of the Nexus pipeline, which just began. The 255-long pipeline will run across northern Ohio into Michigan and Canada and is one of several being built to carry gas from shale fields in Appalachia. Opposition to the Nexus raised concerns about property rights, safety, and damage to the environment. Protesters gathered outside of the Capitol this afternoon. This as U.S. Secretary Steven Mnuchin was in the Columbus to promote the Republican tax reform. Mnuchin said the Republicans' plan will cut taxes for nearly everyone in the middle class, though it could eliminate the federal deduction on state and local taxes. Mnuchin says dropping the corporate tax rate for all businesses is ultimately about creating jobs.
We're convinced that's going to free up capital that they can invest in expanding their business. And this is all about don't send the money to Washington, put it back in the economy.
The Congressional Budget Office has said the plan could trigger $136 billion in spending cuts. An Ohio corporation has been forced to pay $75 million to settle lawsuits stemming from alleged false claims about hospice patients. The U.S. Department of Justice says between 2002 and 2013, CAMD subsidiary Vitas knowingly submitted false claims to Medicare to hospice patients who were not terminally ill. The resolution represents the largest amount ever recovered under the False Claims Act. 2 people are dead following an apparent murder-suicide in an Ohio hospital. It happened yesterday afternoon in the parking lot of Affinity Medical Center in Massillon. Police say cardiologist Dr. George Cease was leaving the hospital when he was shot twice at close range. Officials say Cease later died in surgery. The gunman, 50-year-old Michael Wood, was found dead near his vehicle. Officials say the 2 men had a mutual love interest. Doctors do not expect a 3-year-old Kentucky toddler to survive after he shot himself in the head. It happened outside a restaurant in Louisville Monday evening. The child was in a car with his mother and another child. His father was on a used car lot at the time. According to the police, the gun belonged to one of the boy's parents.
Always be mindful that if you do have firearms and small children, please be smart about it. Make sure that they're stored safely, unloaded, safety's on.
The child was taken to the hospital in serious condition after the shooting. About an hour later, doctors downgraded his condition to grave. Police are still investigating. Officials with Kentucky's state police say their agency is facing a manpower shortage in an aging high-mileage fleet. The agency has 840 sworn officers, with only about 500 of whom are road troopers. State officials say the agency is considered fully staffed, with a little more than 1,000 sworn law enforcement officers. President Trump is back in the States with the full agenda to tackle, including tax reform and WikiLeaks. Plus, Attorney General Jeff Sessions answers a variety of questions at a House committee hearing. These stories and more next on Newswatch.
University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
Hey everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night, live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous. Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything. Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
After nearly 2 weeks in Asia, President Trump is coming back to the U.S. One of the main topics on his agenda, tax reform. But there are a few other big stories swirling around the White House this week. John Lawrence reports.
President Trump is headed back to the U.S. after ending his Asian tour in the Philippines. And tax reform is something Mr. Trump is ready to tackle, tweeting leaders in Washington are getting close. White House officials say their plan offers tax relief to middle-class families and cuts corporate and small business rates.
Businesses can thrive and businesses can be competitive in a global marketplace, and in so doing create jobs and affect wage growth.
But not everyone is on board.
All studies agree. This is a tax hike for millions of middle-class families.
Another matter under scrutiny in Washington is Donald Trump Jr.'s messages with WikiLeaks. On Monday, the president's son released private messages he exchanged with WikiLeaks during the 2016 campaign after The Atlantic reported on the matter.
So here was Donald Trump Jr. actively engaged with a known Russian agent. I want him to be subpoenaed to testify in public about all his communications.
There's also the Roy Moore controversy. On Monday, a fifth woman has come forward with new accusations, saying Moore sexually assaulted her decades ago.
He said, "I am the district attorney of Etowah County, and if you tell anyone about this, no one will ever believe you."
More than 20 Republicans are calling for the Alabama GOP Senate candidate to step down. Moore denies the allegations. And the man Moore is hoping to succeed as senator, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, has asked federal prosecutors to evaluate certain issues regarding the Clinton Foundation. I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Among the issues prosecutors could investigate, alleged ties between the Clinton Foundation and the sale of Uranium-1, which we'll discuss a bit more later on in the show. Congresswoman Jackie Speer and Barbara Comstock accused sitting male lawmakers of sexual harassment and misconduct. Their accusations came during a hearing in the House Administration Committee. It's part of a review of how the House handles sexual harassment claims. There's currently no requirement for sexual harassment training in the House, and Speer proposes legislation making sexual harassment training mandatory for members and staff.
In fact, there are 2 members of Congress, Republican and Democrat, right now, who have been subject to review, or not have been subject to review, but have engaged in sexual harassment. These harasser propositions, such as, are you going to be a good girl, to perpetrators exposing their genitals, to victims having their private parts grabbed on the House floor, all they ask in return as staff members is to be able to work in a hostile-free work environment. They want the system fixed and the perpetrators held accountable.
Last week, the Senate passed a resolution making sexual harassment training mandatory. Attorney General Jeff Sessions was in the hot seat today, answering questions from the House Judiciary Committee. Lawmakers asked him about many topics, including the Russia investigation. Sessions says his memory was jogged after he saw news reports about a meeting where advisor George Papadopoulos proposed a Trump-Putin sit-down. But Sessions says he does not remember details of the meeting.
I believe that I wanted to make clear to him that he was not authorized to represent the campaign with the Russian government.
Sessions talked about Alabama Republican Senate candidate Roy Moore. Sessions says he has no reason to doubt the claims of several women who accused Moore of sexually pursuing them when they were teenagers. While Sessions is questioned about Trump campaign dealings with Russia, the Department of Justice is considering an investigation into the Clinton Foundation. The DOJ is looking at creating a special counsel to investigate ties between Hillary Clinton and Russia. It stems from 2 sales made while Clinton was Secretary of State. The unproven claims are already being investigated by House Republicans. Federal prosecutors will decide if the case needs additional review. New parameters for blood pressure means more people have hypertension. That story's still ahead.
And it's looking like a calm rest of your day today. However, we can expect some rain headed our way tomorrow evening. Your extended forecast is up next, but first, let's take a look at your stocks of local interest.
Professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open. You can go to them with pretty much anything. Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us. Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous. Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Hey everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Good evening, I'm Taylor Nimmo. We had a pretty nice day today with temperatures reaching the 50s. Right now we're at about 47 degrees and we're in the 40s all around the region. 46 in Columbus, 47 in Newark, 46 in Cambridge, 47 Chillicothe. We're all in those upper 40s right now, and it's looking like a high of 49 today, low of 29. The normal for today is a high of 54, low of 33, so we're just a little bit below the normal. However, 1993 record high of 79 degrees, 1986 record low of 10 degrees. Tonight, it's going to drop down and get very cold. It's going to even hit the 20s, 29 degrees. It will be clear tonight. The winds will be light, so tonight it's going to be pretty calm. As we look throughout the region, it's going to be in the lower 30s and upper 20s, 29 in Athens, 30 in Chillicothe, 32 in Columbus, and 29 in Newark. But as we go throughout the night, it will be mostly clear, starting out 40 degrees, but it's just going to progressively drop throughout the night. Will be cool and clear, but into the early morning tomorrow, it will be in the 30s. So as your kids are headed off to the bus stop, it's going to be 32 degrees around 8 a.m. tomorrow. It will be partly cloudy. It still will be calm at this point, but we will start to get those rain showers later on in the day. And while it will be cold in the morning, it's going to get up to 55 degrees tomorrow. It'll be partly cloudy, but those showers are going to come in around 3 p.m. tomorrow. As you're planning your day, around lunchtime, it's still going to be cloudy and clear, 50 degrees, but as we move on throughout the day, 3 o'clock, that's when those showers are going to start to come in. It will be rainy for the rest of the evening. But as we look today, not too much going on around us, but tomorrow, this storm right here is what's going to move our way as we go on throughout the afternoon and into the evening. So make sure you prepare for that. Bring the umbrella with you tomorrow. As we look at the extended forecast, not too much going on. Tomorrow we do have our chances of rain in the evening as well as this weekend. It's not looking too good for any outside activities. We do have those chances of rain both Friday and Saturday, but the temperatures are going to be in the 50s for the majority of the weekend, so it won't feel too cold, although we will be getting that rain. As we move into the week, next week, Monday and Tuesday, we won't be seeing that rain. Temperatures, the highs in the 40s. So it's looking like an okay week next week, but we are going to be getting that rain this weekend. Michaela, back to you.
Thank you so much, Taylor. New guidelines lower the threshold for what is considered high blood pressure. 11 health organizations published parameters indicating patients should be treated when blood pressure reaches 130/80. Those numbers used to be considered normal, and under the new guidelines, 46% of the population have hypertension. According to the report, most of the newly diagnosed patients will not need medication because they can manage their blood pressure through lifestyle changes like exercise.
Clark Wicks here for sports. We have a lot of stuff going on tonight, so stick around. After the break, find out which college basketball powerhouses face off tonight in the State Farm Classic. Also see what tonight's matchup against the Akron Zips means for the Bobcats' postseason aspirations. All that and much, much more coming up next on Newswatch. And as always, stay tuned to WOUB. Here's a look at what's coming up tonight on your public television station.
Everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night, live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything. Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous. Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Welcome back. I'm Clark Wicks, and here are tonight's sports stories. Now, Week 10 of the college football season is officially in the books, and for the fourth consecutive game, the Bobcats have athletes named as MAC Players of the Week. Senior linebacker Quentin Poling and sophomore kicker Louis Zervos were named to the MAC East Defensive and Special Teams Players of the Week, respectively. In the Bobcats' decisive 38-10 win over the Toledo Rockets, Poling finished with 12 tackles, 3 sacks, and a fumble recovery. Meanwhile, Zervos was lights out, connecting on all 5 of his extra points attempts and his lone 44-yard field goal. Now, I'm sure Poling and Zervos will be looking to be named to that list once again as they travel to Akron tonight to face the Zips in a primetime MAC East matchup. With a 1-game lead over the Zips for the MAC East title, the Bobcats can clinch a trip to their second straight MAC championship with a win tonight. Although the Bobcats haven't won a MAC championship since 1968, they've played fairly well against Akron. The Bobcats' last loss to the Zips came way back in 2007. Tune in to ESPN2 tonight at 7 to catch all the primetime action. Now on to professional football. The Carolina Panthers demolished the Miami Dolphins 45-21 in last night's edition of Monday Night Football. Despite leading by just 10 points after the first half, Cam Newton and the Panthers offense went on to score 4 touchdowns in the second half to secure the 24-point win as they go into the bye week. Meanwhile, Jay Cutler and the Dolphins look to end their 3-game losing streak as they host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers next Sunday. Now on to the NBA. The Cleveland Cavaliers traveled to the Big Apple last night to face off against the New York Knicks in an attempt to bounce back from their slow start. Now the Cavs haven't looked like a team that have gone on to 3 straight finals this season, as they won just 4 of their first 10 games. And it looked like more of the same last night as the Knicks outscored Cleveland 51-38 at the half. But you can never count out a team with LeBron James on it, as the Cavaliers outscored the Knicks 43-25 in the fourth quarter to secure the 104-101 victory. Cleveland travels to Charlotte tomorrow night to face the Hornets. Now, while the Cavs are taking tonight off, the Columbus Blue Jackets are traveling north of the border to face the Montreal Canadiens. Now, with the second best record in the Metropolitan Division, the Jackets are looking to get back to their winning ways as they've dropped 4 of their last 5 games. Tune in after the show to catch all the action as the puck drops at 7:30. Now, if hockey isn't your thing, don't worry, because we have some great college basketball games scheduled for tonight. We have back-to-back matchups between the 4 of the top teams in the game as the top-seeded Duke Blue Devils face off against Michigan State. Now, immediately after that, the Kansas Jayhawks take on the Kentucky Wildcats. The doubleheader starts tonight at 7 on ESPN. And finally, we have some sad news regarding the death of Boston Red Sox legend Bobby Doerr. The oldest living Hall of Fame inductee passed away this morning at the age of 99. Doerr played 14 seasons with Boston, and his number was retired in 1988. The Red Sox also erected a statue of the 9-time All-Star standing with his teammates outside of Fenway Park in 2010. I'm Clark Wicks, and that's it for Newswatch. That's it for sports, pardon me. Back to you, Michaela.
Thank you, Clark. Take a look at this. Dozens of salmon attempted to cross a flooded Washington State road. Every year in an annual spawning ritual, thousands of salmon swim upstream against the Skokomish River. But this year, flooding pushed back the river past its banks, leaving the fish a bit confused. And let's go back to Taylor for a final look at our weather.
All right, let's take one more look at that extended forecast. Tomorrow, high of 55, low of 39. Now remember, we do have that chance of rain moving in tomorrow evening. It'll start around probably 3 to 4 p.m. and it will continue throughout the night tomorrow. So that's tomorrow, but as we move on throughout the weekend, we do still have some chances of rain on Friday and Saturday. Friday, we won't be seeing those rain showers until the evening, but Saturday, we might be seeing it in the day as well. The temperatures aren't too bad. We're seeing temperatures in the 50s and the 40s this week, so it's looking like things are warming up a little bit.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. I'm Michaela Marshall. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at woub.org. Have a great night.
Everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night, live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.